It's
I say I
recording.
can almost do it, but it's not.
I need to get like a red light because those are so cool. It's like the recording light. You know what I mean?
Bing.
Yeah, that's what I want.
There you go. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again here on the Red Dragon Sessions. With me as always is Bob.
Hello.
How are you today, Bob?
Very well. Thank you. It's nice to see you.
It's good to see you too. I like coming up here. It's like a little sanctuary hidey hole away.
Yay for hidey holes.
Anyway, Bob, so we got a lot of topics to cover today in our sessions. So I'm going to jump right in, and I'm going to tell you about my friend. Jackie has been in the music business for a long time. Like she's like a 20 plus year veteran of the industry. Worked at a really big, well-known company and actually started a division of that company and launched it into supersonic levels. Highly recognized, highly respected in this industry woman. A badass among badasses. That's who Jackie was. And in my mind, still is. She's still super talented, still super smart.
Is this a story about ageism?
It's not really. Well, there's some ageism involved. There's some sexism involved.
In this industry?
In the music? Holy shit!
Shocking me
What?
right now.
There is sexism and ageism in the music business? Holy fuck. When did that happen? I don't know. Anyway, Jackie had a personal health crisis. And about the time she got that personal health crisis, a whole bunch of stuff went on at the company. There were some upper management shifts. There were shifts in priorities. Right as she was starting her health battle, she was unceremoniously released from her commitment at this company.
Also known as canned.
Yes.
That's not the first time I've heard that.
Yeah. She was unceremoniously canned. I would love to believe. Now, first off, I'm not going to go into details of Jackie's story. I hope someday that I could put her in the Bob seat and let her, and that she feels strong enough and the freedom enough to tell her story. I don't know that will ever happen, but that is her choice. So I'm not going to go into epic details of her story. I'm just going to talk about what I have observed and why I think it's wrong, and ways that, and maybe talk with you, Bob, about ways that we as women can have each other's backs in this industry when relationships can get so tenuous and weird and all this kind of stuff. So it's going to be a touchy subject for people to listen to, I think. But, hey, I'm not one to shy away from this bullshit. That's the whole reason we're doing this podcast, is to not shy away from this bullshit. So anyway, Jackie now had to face an epic health crisis on top of looking for work. She, like I said, is an incredibly smart woman. So she had her finances in place. She knew what she had to do, and she chose to fight her health battle first. She did. And she is a survivor. And she's on the other side of that health crisis for the physical part. But emotionally, the struggle can be real to recover. She was effectively taken out of the game by this health crisis for about 2 years. And that can be incredibly detrimental to your career. Mm-hmm. Your relationships can suffer. Your knowledge about the industry, it moves so fast, it can suffer. Mm-hmm. But she is making an effort now to reclaim her place in this industry. Whatever that is, she is open to finding a new spot in this world, and she is fighting for it. Mm-hmm. She is working to learn what she can to pick up where, she knows she can't exactly just pick up where she left off. Mm-hmm. That she's got to learn, and she's got to grow, and she's got to understand, because even in just a few short years, the industry has shifted and changed so much. And she is doing that. She is putting in the work. But I talked to her recently, and she expressed that she felt there were people in the industry who didn't want her back, that didn't want her back in the business, didn't want her back on her feet. And I wanted to know who, because that's who I am. This is a woman that I care deeply about. I love her. She is my friend. She has had my back in the past, and it is my duty to have her back in a situation like this. And I wanted to know who, because I was like, hey, that's my girl. What are you doing? No, we don't play that here. We don't do that. And then she was like, I don't want to tell you. And I said, okay. I will climb down off the high horse here for a minute, and I will just say this. Jackie, I love you. I care about you. And if you tell me to never say a thing to this person, I will never say a thing to him. Ever. He will never know from me that I know. But at least give me a choice as to whether or not I ever want to work with this person again. Give me a choice to say, what if this guy wants to come in the studio and sit and be a Bob, or record with me, or record with one of my clients, or become my client, or something like that? Give me a choice to look at that situation and say, no. I would never necessarily tell him why, but I would love to have the choice to say, you don't get to come into my world.
I also think if somebody is saying something as strong as XYZ doesn't want me back in the industry, I wish that weren't a circumstance that actually could be a reality, right? Where there are gatekeepers. There are loads of gatekeepers here. And it's a valid thing to be able to ask after if somebody's put that kind of carrot in front of your face.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a gatekeeper to this industry, and this hurts her. This doesn't just hurt her while she's trying to break through. It doesn't just hurt her spirit of like her creativity or her drive. It doesn't just hurt her there, but I get the impression this was once a friend. This was once somebody who was an avid supporter of her. And so it hurts her on another level, that this person knows her story, and that this person could be so cold and callous as to keep the gate shut, as to not want to talk to her, as to not want to. And I'm not saying that this is a person that has to like give her a job or something like that. I'm just saying, if you're feeling that from somewhere, it's wrong. You shouldn't ever be feeling like somebody is out to get you, or somebody's out to prevent you from doing something. Who is this guy that thinks he is so important and so full of everything in this business that he can prevent somebody who is talented, smart, and creative, just a brilliant mind for the music business? Who the hell is he to sit on a high horse in this industry and say, you shall pass and you shall not? That's bullshit. And then that's what I really struggled with when talking to her. And no, it's not my job as her friend to go fight every battle for her. There's a piece of this that's her battle. She's going to have to fight it herself. She's going to have to find her way to navigate that. But all I know is I need to have her back. So if I can't know who that is, or know how to fight for her, or if I can't, handle that for her, the thing I can do is to be aware. And I told her finally at the end of the conversation we were having, I said, look, Jackie, if you ever see me in a room with that person, or in the studio with that person, or that person becomes my client, or I become their client, or whatever, please know it's because I don't know. I don't know how that person treated you. I don't know. And if it hurts you or it offends you, I want you to tell me. No matter what my relationship with that person has become, I want you to tell me, because I want to know. Because I'm standing here telling you that I am your cheerleader. I am your advocate. I am your ally. And that is more important to me. And I feel like that, if we're looking at women in the industry who cannot tell their story, or who are struggling, whether it's emotionally or physically with something, and they're put in this position, at the very least, we as women can say, I am your friend. I am your ally. How can I help? And when I asked her how I can help, she said, just keep helping to teach me when I have questions. Just keep helping. Just keep being somebody I can talk to. Let's just keep having lunch occasionally so that I can feel connected. And that drives me and that fuels me to keep going. And I was like, you got it. You absolutely got it. That is a no-brainer. That is the least I can do for you. And I think women in the industry forget that there are little things like that we can do for each other to help support each other, to just listen, to just have a drink, to have a cup of coffee with somebody you haven't talked to in a while. Mm-hmm. That can be such a boost and such a relief for another woman in the industry.
The two things that come to my mind
are,
yeah, thank you. You know, in the previous iteration of this person, what would be things that they may have done, or maybe it's nothing that they've, I mean, sometimes people just have, you know, don't want somebody to succeed, period, mm-hmm. for whatever reason, for no reason. Like, mm-hmm. But it makes me wonder, like, why she would think this person is kind of out to get her, basically.
Right.
And then what would have inspired that in general? You know, I mean, maybe before she got sick, maybe she was conducting herself, I don't know, maybe she'd burned a bridge, or, you know.
Right.
I mean, you know, well-respected people also still can be hard-nosed.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
and
yeah.
So who knows what kind of, like.
Maybe, look, it very well could have been that she made no mistakes, and she's just being viewed in this light by someone. That's totally a possibility. It could also be a possibility that she made a mistake when she had power. Maybe. It's possible. Nobody is perfect. We are all human. And she could have made a mistake, and now there is a power shift, and somebody else is making a mistake and abusing their power.
Right. Impossible to know.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is impossible to know.
Yeah.
The best thing I think I can do for my friend Jackie, as someone who cares about her and respects her, is to provide a safe space in my presence for her to feel comfortable that she can talk through this stuff and get it out, because that's how we heal from it. This could be part of what she needs to do to heal. And I did ask her if, you know, and because this is also a possibility, is that it's perceived. And maybe it's not really there, but maybe this is perceived. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's part of her healing process to work through what she is perceiving. Mm-hmm. That is definitely a possibility. Mm-hmm.
Well, at the end of the day, while people can be gatekeepers, mm-hmm. there's also, I think at this point, especially after the Me Too movement, mm-hmm. and things kind of generally coming into light about general dynamics, I think that a lot of those gatekeepers, or just the practice of bullying, which is unfortunately so common mm-hmm. in this business,
yeah.
It's not something that people are turning a blind eye to, I don't think, as much, or at least I would hope that's true. Mm-hmm. And maybe this also could just be an anxiety of coming back into the game and
right.
and worrying that she might have these hurdles. Maybe they're real, maybe they're not. Mm-hmm. I mean, perception is everything, right? So
right, exactly.
It's real to her.
It is very real to her. And that's important to note, that like whether there is this gatekeeper male in the industry that is blocking her, or whether it is she is perceiving that, it is all very real for her. And that perception is blocking her mm-hmm. from overcoming some more of these hurdles and getting through it. Mm-hmm. And you have to respect her point of view. You have to respect what she's seeing and what she's feeling. And I think part of why she doesn't want to say who it is and doesn't want to talk about that element of it is that maybe she is a bit unsure as to how it is, but also that I think she loves and respects her friends like me enough to say, this is my relationship. This is my battle. This is my fight. This is what I need. This is something I need to overcome to get back in the game and be who I am and be strong in this again. And she doesn't want her experience to negatively affect my relationship with someone in the industry, mm-hmm. which it definitely could. Mm-hmm. And that is incredibly courageous to me. It really is. There are times in my life where I've said the same thing to people. Like, this is my experience. Your experience with this person is very different. You have a different relationship. You, as a person, have to base your judgment of someone on part of what I'm telling you is truth and part of your own experiences and your own observations and your own point of view. You cannot base your point of view on something only on what you have heard from someone else. Mm-hmm. You have to go by your own gut, your own experiences. You have to bring all of that to the table before you make a decision about someone or something going on. And it could very well be that she doesn't want me to carry that burden against someone that I probably already do have a relationship in the industry with.
Mm-hmm. That's quite a small industry, actually.
It is, yeah. We think the music business is huge and everything, but it's really, really very small.
Very small.
You know, it's not that big at all. And odds are I do know this person.
Now I'm so curious.
I know. You see why it's like perplexed me for like a few days? Because I'm like, is it who? Is it who? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who it is. What matters is that she's feeling that pressure. She's feeling that. And the best thing we can do as her friends is to give her, like I said, a safe space to talk about it, to work through it, and to feel stronger so that she can just stand up on her own and it not be an issue. That's what I intend to do for her.
I think that's nice. And I think also, regardless of who or what the circumstance may be, at the end of the day, people need to solve their own problems, period. Mm-hmm. Like even, if this is just a confidence thing coming back where, she needs to remind herself to not give a fuck about XYZ.
Right.
So be it.
Right. Yeah. Because we have all come up against a gatekeeper somewhere. And you have to figure out for yourself, how do you just like mow that mother down?
I think it's also your own gatekeeper, all the time, Yeah. I mean, I think we all either contribute or prohibit ourselves from succeeding, whether it's self-sabotage or, supporting your own, like patting yourself on the back.
Yeah.
Good job,
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, all the factors.
Yeah. Look, let's face facts. She's working hard. She's got a long road to go. But I just want to make sure that as her friend and as her advocate and her ally in this world, that she knows she has a place to go, a place to talk, a place to be that is non-judgmental and is safe for her to work through her stuff. Mm-hmm. And if we could all do that in this industry for each other, women for women, men for men as well.
Men for women.
Men for men. Women for women. Just do it as individuals for each other.
Yeah.
Forget about the fact that we're men or women. Just as individuals, look around and go, oh my God, you're my friend. You're struggling. You need a minute. Let's go have a drink. Let's go have a coffee. Let's, screw this shit. Let's go watch a movie and just chill for a minute and process. And if we can provide that for somebody else in the industry, I mean, Bob, here in this space in the studio, you provide a lot of that for me. You provide a lot of comfort and a lot of support in that I can come in this room and I can talk about anything at all under the sun. And I know that it's okay. I know I'm not sitting with a Bob that's, there's never been a Bob in that chair that's been judgmental or anything else.
No judgy pants on this Bob.
There's no judgy pants on this Bob. God, and I pray for whatever, if there ever was a Bob in that chair that was judgy pants. Oh, I pray for their soul, because I think everybody else that's around this project would just be like, but.
Well, you're making choices to surround yourself with
non-judgy Bobs.
Yeah, positive people that, truly you want to work in a space that keeps it open, super open, and to get the most kind of creative out and reward in. And I just want to facilitate that.
Right.
So that's part of my surrounding myself with a positive. And I mean, it's a gift that keeps on giving.
It is. It really, really is.
You know, I can relate to the story on a number of points as far as 10 years ago, my brother was sick and ended up dying. And I couldn't like be working for myself and like earning an income. I just like emotionally couldn't juggle it. So I kind of went adjacent to the industry and still had, you know, like one fingernail in projects, like, you know, recording background vocals for people or, you know, trying to, you know, keep going whenever I could. But it was so kind of adjacent, you know, until I could get back on my feet again. But then ended up having heart surgery for basically something that happened that was sort of a byproduct of losing my brother. It's just like, you know, the gift that keeps on giving. Like the snowball effect. But I think a huge part of succeeding after something like that, where I always think of it as like being on a horse and you're like just galloping and you're just like full speed and everything's going so great. Like amazing, and then you just get sideswiped. It's like douche, like something just comes and just knocks you way off the horse. And
completely.
And to be able to pick yourself back up, figure out where your horse went, first of all.
Like, finding the horse in that situation is a big pain in the ass.
Honest to God, because the other thing
those is... Those fuckers will just keep... They're scared and they're running and you can't run that fast. You got to wait till they calm down and just sort of head in the general direction. Like, yeah, but that's a whole nother diatribe.
It's true, but figuring out... In my case, creatively, and in her case, she's trying to figure out where she fits into the industry at this point. But... you know, creatively, I figured out, okay, I need to actually get into production, like music production, which is not what I had been in before. I was in like audio post-production for commercials and also music, like mixing and mastering, but I hadn't done much with actually recording. So I did everything backwards. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to do something I actually don't know anything about. And that is going to be my re-entree into the industry. And it worked because I was passionate about it and I was interested in it. But I think the biggest factor in anything like this, whether it's like shifting tactics in what you're doing or something like trying to find your horse again and get back on it, which I finally am again. But like, I think a huge factor in the success in that is not giving a fuck at all. Like you truly can't care what other people think. It only matters what, as far as the direction that you pick and supporting yourself. I mean, I think it's important having people who care and having people who are supportive. But at the end of the day, if it's not your jam or if it's not like, if you're not passionate about it, then there's no way it'll work. It has to be a thing of...
You got to feel it in your gut.
Yeah.
You gotta feel it, you know, you can feel it in your heart. Oh, you can feel it. You can have the brains for it and everything else. You could have the voice for it or the skills for it on an instrument, whatever. But if you don't feel it down in your core, in your soul, right in the belly of the beast, it's not going to work.
And I think that's a very actually solitary endeavor. I mean, there's, you know, the energy of other people, and that's all very important. And
all of that's got to feed. All that's got to feed into the belly of the beast. If it's not feeding into the belly of the beast, then it's just stuff, and it's just like, oh, thank you, and hugs around the creative table or whatever. But if you're not feeling it in your soul, you're gonna sleepwalk through it. You're gonna half-ass it. It's not gonna be great. It's gonna be there, and it'll be good, and it might sell a few million records, but think of how much greater it could be if you felt it in your soul, if you really like just, oh.
And I think that applies, though, whether it's creating something or, you know, I don't know on the executive side or whatever role this person you're talking about is part of, but it definitely applies there too. Even though I I don't understand the business.
I just talk gobbledygook and goodness to you, don't I? I
No.
just like
No, I mean the process of a day, like going to work and going to like everything for me is around sounds and like you know coming up with a bass line for. I mean, it's like nonverbal. I mean,
I know.
it's
No,
not
I get
it's
it.
not
Yeah.
everything, but like
Right.
a good chunk of my time right now is doing. We're talking,
Yeah.
recording sounds and having important conversations, but other people go do have like 9 to 5.
Well,
like I just don't
do. Yeah,
I don't
like
fit like.
I get up in the morning and I get dressed and I.
But you're passionate
and
about.
I get up. I'm passionate about going to my office and dealing with copyright issues and dealing with contract issues and dealing with all this stuff. And it's weird because, I mean, we've talked about this before in another podcast. My passion for that came from being 6 years old watching a guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so weird because that translated into just this desire to sit behind this computer and be a queen of badassery.
But I feel like you're a rarity and I feel
you
like
think?
Yeah, I feel like your level of accomplishment and how you go about it is so correct. I mean, I think I wish other people had figured this out, because I feel like the world would be just filled with much happier people.
I think the music industry would be filled with much more happier people.
Much more happier.
Much more happy. Much happy. I feel more of the industry would be filled with happier people that are much more happier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I in this industry, day to day, I see people who are not happy in their jobs. They're maybe transitioning jobs. They like this job or that job, or maybe they're back to an entry-level position when they were at a really high level just because life and mergers and all this kind of stuff, which I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I understand their perspective. But look, anybody that I know that chose to get in this business to make money and be a millionaire is not in this business anymore. By any stretch of the imagination. I like to think, and I could be wrong, but I like to think that anybody that's in the music business that is successful on their own level, on their own terms, at whatever level that is, whether they are the like king of the mailroom or wherever they are, that they are fighting and being successful and trying to learn and trying to grow, that the best of this industry, I know it's not always true, but the cream of the crop in this industry, from the mailroom to the Aerosmiths, are people who were inspired and are passionate about some kind of music, that it feeds the belly of the beast for them.
Mm-hmm.
I know there are a few, I could name off some that are like, I don't think they even know what music is, but I also don't see that person as being in this industry for 40 years and raising other people up and being happy with their career. I think if you're in this business and you're unhappy, especially if you're making a lot of money at it and you're unhappy, you're in the wrong business. That's not what's in your core and in your soul.
Correct.
I
think there are also a lot of hurdles that actually keep. I restarted when I think I moved to LA when I was 30. Like I restarted entirely. I went back to school. I already had a bachelor's degree. I went back to school. Like I was a professional graphic designer. Like I already had a career in progress, and I just totally did a 180.
Why not?
Started over again. And you can't have, and this is where the age thing and not giving a fuck, like you truly can't. You're on your own path and it's yours.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks of that. I think doing your own thing well for yourself And, you know, maybe if you're part of a unit, like people you're close to, whatever it is, but like it's your thing. It doesn't have anything to do with other people's judgment or whatever. I think you have to do your own thing.
You have to. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So in her case, whether she's coming back or, you know, whatever the circumstance is, I know she'll be fine if she doesn't give a shit.
Right. I think you're absolutely right. Jackie, if you're listening to this podcast, just quit giving a shit. Just tell the entire world to fuck off. This is in your soul. This is in your heart. This is who you are. And just own it and be in it, and you will be back. It's not a snap of the fingers. No, you know, but you got to wake up every day knowing it and believing it. And if you do that long enough, you're going to find that you're rising back up and that you have a place in this industry, and nobody's going to stop you.
The other thing too, I think, is
I keep thinking I'm wrapping up, and then you come
sorry,
in. You come in with like poignant shit behind me, like,
well,
Bob, God damn it.
This is a topic I get. Like,
this is, well, yeah, for both of us, this is a passionate topic.
I mean, the other thing is not being married to the bullseye. You have to be adaptable and flexible. And, you know, so what if whatever she was doing before was XYZ? Maybe now a better place might be, you
QGF.
know, ABC. It might be something totally different, you know? And being okay with starting over or doing a totally new direction, you know, nothing about, but it's related.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who knows, you know, that could be a real strong point.
So what if this dude is a gatekeeper over here in the path that you want or the path you were on? Do you know how many paths there are in the music business?
But also, who gives a like?
And who gives a fuck?
I mean, even if they are standing in the way somehow, you know, that isn't a valid, I don't think, reason to not take that path.
Oh yeah, exactly. I'm reminded. Oh, there's a movie that I'm reminded of. Oh Jesus. It's actually, it might be an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yeah, it is. It's an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I don't know how much our music supervisor for this show is going to kill me for this, but I'm going to bring it up anyway.
Just don't sing it, or you can say the title.
I can say the title. I can say it's an episode, but can I describe an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer without getting in trouble?
No, it's you're retelling a story.
Okay. Let me just say up front, Joss, I love you. Joss Wheaton, you're my hero. You're like my spirit animal most of the time. So I am about to describe this with love, but there's an episode where like there's this vampire like in Buffy's way, and he's just being all cocky, he's just being a smart ass. He's just like, hey, you know, I'm like a vampire that's this old and blah blah blah, and she has to get through that. She has to get past him to get to the real evil to like deal with it. And she just like strolls up, and the guy's talking, and she just strolls up, and she's just like, fucking move. And she just takes him and throws him off a thing, and she just keeps walking toward the real evil. And the guy, you know, Wilhelm scream off the side of the building. It's great.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just a non sequitur. It's just this plot. It's not even a plot point. It's not even a MacGuffin. It's not even important enough to be a MacGuffin. It's just this like funny moment. The guy becomes a funny footnote in the episode. He's not even important enough to be a MacGuffin. You just poosh, knock him over as you just keep walking.
Now, an alternate to this, something's coming at you. I don't know if I ever told you about running into a bear on the trail.
Oh, good God. There
was this like 400 plus pound.
Okay, you're not going to just push him off a cliff and keep walking.
Male black, he was a boar. It's the trail.
And he was boring too?
No. A male black bear is a boar.
Oh, well, I knew that, but I was trying to be stupid.
Oh, the trail wasn't more than 2 feet wide. It was rocky. It's up at, 9,000 feet in Rocky Mountain National Park. And I was walking up the trail with my parents and my dad, of all people, who has not great vision. I'm always like looking down at the trail for pretty rocks Because I'm like, ooh,
Your
rocks.
dad's not got great vision. You're staring down at the dirt.
Yeah, and he says, "Hey, is that a bear?" And meanwhile, the wind is blowing.
Hey, is that a bear?
Yeah, the wind is blowing towards us. Okay, so the bear can't smell us.
Okay, this is good. That's okay.
No,
Well, I mean, not okay,
that's
but
bad because usually,
oh, you're sneaking up on him.
yeah. So usually, they just make themselves sparse. You don't want to scare a bear,
Right? No. Uh-uh.
but
You're gonna react out of fear.
At the same time, they're usually pretty afraid of humans. So the big bear is coming down the trail, and I turn my parents around, and I'm just like, okay, guys, slowly, we're gonna go in the opposite direction, and we just slowly went backwards down the trail and found a place to hike up we climbed up about 10 feet off the trail, sat on a log that had fallen down,
Mm-hmm.
and we were kind of behind a rock. Now, granted, the bear can climb anywhere he wants to,
Right.
okay? And even though he's a big guy, they're very, very agile.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we didn't want to scare him. We didn't want anything bad. Also, I didn't know at the time that it could have been a big mom bear with cubs behind her. Like, that would have been super bad.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he comes down, and the most interesting thing was we're sitting up there. Of course, my mom, we all have this, like, we love bears. She's like, oh, I want to go say hi. I'm like, Mom, okay, like, turn off the, like, cuckoo switch, lady. Like, please, like, let's not taunt the bear or go try and say hi to it. Okay. So I'm, like, trying to keep everything super calm and, like, have this kind of actually really spiritual experience. And bear comes down, and instead of staying on the trail, he actually went out of his way to give way to us, even though we were up by like 10 feet. He actually made sure to go the other side of the trail. Like, he actually took himself off piste.
Oh,
like,
he kind of like gave you a little bit more girth.
Yeah. So he went actually down into like the broken, and we're talking, this is a super steep, more than 45 degree, like very, very steep, like the angle of the slope of the hill was very, very steep. He put himself off the hill into the fallen timber. So it was like crunch, 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 as he's like getting out of the way to let us know that, like, he, I think, I don't know, either was scared and or had respect for our space too. And so he, kept going down the hill, and we then proceeded to go. We weren't going to turn around and follow him down, because it's just one trail, right?
Yeah.
So we continued up and finished our hike, and then luckily, turning around, the wind was behind us so that he could smell us coming back. And you can always smell bear when they're nearby because they stink quite a lot.
Well, yeah.
And so as we
to them, humans stink quite a lot too.
But I mean, like,
yeah.
You can really smell what they've been sitting in. And
well, yeah,
stuff.
you're coming up on them. You need to, like, be aware and, like, take control of your situation, like you did, and, like, yeah.
So my takeaway from that, though, is when you have an impassable object that's on so it's not something you can just throw off the trail or just shove away. It's something that you have to make way for, let it pass, and then keep going. And it's kind of like that's what it sounds like this person did with fighting their illness, coming back. They're back on their path, and
yeah, and and look, let's face fact. If there's somebody on her path that's, like, trying to be a gatekeeper or block her, the only people I know like that are ambitious motherfuckers. So if someone's going to come along and that dude's not going to be a gatekeeper anymore, you just give him a minute, work on yourself, build yourself up, get stronger, stand stronger, maybe go down a little bit of a different avenue for a minute, get a different skill set, get some stuff under your belt, build your contacts back up, and then you're going to turn around. That gatekeeper's not a gatekeeper anymore. That person's gone. That person's over someplace else, or a different company, or a different route, or a different path, or a different thing entirely. It could just naturally, if you just respect yourself and take care of yourself, that gatekeeper could just disappear.
The other thing is, in the bear analogy, when you're coming back on the same path, you know there's a good chance you're going to pass the bear again.
That's true.
And we did, but because he could smell us, he made himself scarce.
Right.
And was actually, you know, up the hill in the moss where he liked to hang out, which that was like his place, you know. But, you know, having the courage, it's not like we're going to do a big lap around, you know.
It's not like we're going to go down the other side of the mountain to get out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like in this case, we really needed to be able to come back the way we'd come, and there was a good chance we're going to run into the bear again, and we did, except it was only just knowing that he was there because you could smell him, and having the courage to don't be scared, like, you know, know that everybody had established, like, nobody wants to hurt each other,
right?
You know, and there's everybody's cool, Although
exactly.
I can say that taking that trail again by myself, like solo, was, and I'm not scared anymore, but I definitely had some the lesson there is don't go early in the morning because that's when they're feeding. So,
but you were with your parents, and how old were you?
This was 6 years ago.
Oh, so not that long ago. But still. You're with other people, and it's scary in the moment. And then you went, oh, I want to walk this trail again. Okay, there's a big bear up there, but I want to do this. And you went anyway because you knew that you could handle yourself in that situation again. And even though there were probably some apprehensions, you went anyway because you were like, it's a badass trail. I want to see these sights. I want to do this again. I want to say hi to my buddy that I avoided on the,
I actually have a memorial tree up there that I put, every year I put a notch in the tree, and I put some of my brother's ashes on there. So it's kind of like it's my own little,
so it's super, super important.
Oh yeah, I can't,
it's a whole experience.
I have no option to not go up there. I have to be able to go up there.
You have to go up there, yeah.
So
that's amazing that you're like, okay, yeah, no,
I'll figure this out.
Yeah.
The coolest thing actually is the more you learn about that, bears will use trees as scratching posts, and to also mark their territory for other bears, to let them know that this is my
a bear marking your tree.
Well, I'm like.
Well, I mean, I know you're a bear, but you're a bear marking your tree.
Well, I'm in this case, I got to learn actually more about nature and stuff, so that when I see these things, I'm like, oh, I know what that is. I also know how fresh that is. I also know where you might be. So, I'm just it's heightened awareness, but not for anything other than
it's awareness out of respect and not fear.
Yeah, not to scare myself. It's just to and there are certain parts of the path, I call it the scary woods, because my brother, we used to go on this path together, and you always just sing or make yourself known. So any other animal that might be, there could be cougars in there. There's all kinds of, mountain lions that live there. Deers aren't any concern, but
I don't know.
Moose are a concern. I've seen moose on not this trail, but in the park.
And can I just tell you, possums are mean motherfuckers too. I know they're small and they're little and they're more scared of you than you are of them, but they're mean motherfuckers.
So raccoons are very vengeful.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen that movie, Furry Vengeance? Raccoons are very vengeful.
They are. They're
really are.
They're mean little fuckers.
I mean, they went after Brendan Fraser, for fuck's sake.
I mean, they look cute and stuff with their little goggles.
Not in this movie, they didn't.
Anyway, all that to say, perception really truly is everything.
Absolutely. You've been listening to the Red Dragon Sessions.